My name is Michael. I've been a cashier for about a year now.
My name is Linda, and I've been a cashier at this store for about 20 years now, so I've done a lot of WIC transactions.
Welcome to WIC. Since the program began in 1972, WIC has helped millions of mothers and their children stay healthy by helping them afford nutritious food. And it's part of your job and your store's commitment to help these families have access to healthy foods and a pleasant shopping experience using WIC checks. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children, and their goal is to ensure better health through good nutrition during critical periods of growth. In other words, kids under 5 and pregnant, postpartum, and breastfeeding women may be eligible for the WIC program.
When I was a young mother, WIC was there for me, so I understand the benefits of the program. By taking part in WIC, mothers and fathers and family members are being responsible. I mean, they just want to raise healthy kids.
Unlike other food assistance programs, WIC provides personalized consultation with WIC nutritionists, breastfeeding support, checks to buy healthy food, tips for eating well to improve health, and referrals for community services and other programs that can benefit the whole family.
Well, I was on the WIC program throughout my pregnancy. They gave me so much breastfeeding support, and they made me realize that this is something that I can do.
My daughter eats healthier now. I'm able to put different foods together with her with a healthier diet for her. And before she wouldn't eat certain foods, and now my daughter eats regular foods that I mix with vegetables, and she eats them just fine.
As a cashier, you are the face of the store you're working for, and sometimes the reason people come back to your store or don't return. This is especially true of customers on the WIC program. When a WIC customer comes to your store, they're not only using their WIC checks, but they're spending their own money as well. I mean, these are everyday people, just like you and me, who want to make sure their kids eat healthy food.
I am a working mother, and the reason why I am involved in WIC is because I want my kids and my family to have an understanding of good nutrition.
I don't receive any other kind of assistance, and the food that I do get from WIC does help my children.
All WIC customers receive monthly WIC checks for healthy foods, a WIC Gold Card, and a WIC Approved Food Guide. There are 2 types of checks, a regular WIC check and a fruit and vegetable check. The checks list the amounts and specific types of healthy foods they can purchase based on their individual needs. WIC checks are redeemed only at those retail grocery stores and pharmacies that have been selected by the WIC program to serve as authorized vendors because they meet specific criteria for price and selection. Massachusetts currently has over 1,000 stores and pharmacies that participate in WIC. It's important to know that WIC customers may have an authorized shopper, a second shopper, who may use and sign their WIC checks. They'll have their own WIC Gold Card to use when shopping on behalf of the WIC customer. These can be husbands, boyfriends, friends, and family of the WIC customer. As WIC customers shop, it's been suggested that they keep all their WIC foods separate from the rest of the items. Also, if they're using more than one check, they should also separate their items by check. This will make it a lot easier for you and them when they come to your register. Now this is where you come in.
The first time I had a WIC customer come to my register, I was kind of nervous, but it's just like anything else you do the first time.
You just greet the customer like you always do. Be helpful, and if they have the wrong thing, let them know in a friendly, relaxed way.
It's just like any other order. It's just getting paid for with the WIC check.
Well, there was one instance where I did have a bad experience. I wouldn't go back to this particular store because I just felt I was treated badly, basically. I understand that the WIC checks may be harder for a cashier to process, but I just wanted to be treated with the same level of respect.
When a WIC customer comes to your register, hopefully, they'll let you know right away that they'll be using a WIC check. This way, you'll know you're doing 2 different transactions, one for WIC foods and another for any other items they may have after that. Now, before you start scanning, just make sure you get the WIC check from them. Why? Because there's a number of things you'll need to look for on the check before you start. First, locate the date boxes on the check. They'll be in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure that today's date is either on or between the first use date and the last use date on the check. As long as it is, you can continue. If the date is before, they'll need to wait to use the check. If it's after, the check is no longer valid. After you verify the dates, you can go ahead and start checking out. One by one, see if each item they selected is on the check to make sure it's a WIC food. A new WIC customer may need you to help them make sure their items are on the approved food guide. This is what the WIC approved food guide looks like. If you ever have any questions or need to verify an item a WIC customer has selected, then this is your best friend. You should always have one at your register to refer to. It lists the specific items and approved brands eligible for purchase with WIC checks. WIC approved foods include milk, baby food, brown rice, canned fish, cereal, cheese, dried or canned beans and peas, eggs, fruit juice, fruits and vegetables, infant formula, peanut butter, tortillas, whole grain bread, and tofu. Some stores use shelf labels to make it easier for WIC customers to find foods that are WIC approved. In the process of verifying WIC items, you may find that they're missing something from the list of foods printed on their check. It's always good practice to point that out to them to make sure they haven't forgotten to put that item in their cart.
For example, they may not have eggs, but eggs are listed on the check. So I'll ask them if they want them and ask another employee to run back and get them. Remember, they don't have to buy everything listed on the check.
Once you've checked and scanned the last item, total the WIC items purchased on your register and deduct any coupons the customer might have or discounts from store savings cards. It's important to let them know that the amount of the discount from the coupons or savings cards is not returned to them. However, WIC customers are also entitled to any buy one get one free promotions on WIC items. Next, you'll write the total price of the items purchased using a pen in the designated space on the check. Then, have the customer sign the check in the box that says, "I guarantee the correct price was written above." Remember, this step only occurs after the price is written on the check. You'll need to make sure the signature on the check matches the signature on the WIC Gold Card. And keep in mind, this signature doesn't have to match the name of the WIC customer on the check. Now, put the check in the proper place as determined by your store. If the customer has other items outside of their WIC foods, go ahead and ring them up as a separate transaction.
When I'm ringing up a WIC order, I usually go through the list of food on the check, find them on the conveyor belt, and scan them in the order in which they're listed on the check. This helps to make sure that the WIC customer got all the foods that they're entitled to with their check.
I'll go through and make sure the ounces on the cereal match up, and I'll make sure it's the right type of milk. Just verify everything matches what's on the check.
Just take it slow and make sure you're comfortable with it. And if you're not, just ask for help.
Now let's take a look at how WIC fruits and vegetable checks are processed. They're pretty similar to regular WIC checks, but with a few differences. You'll still need to check the dates and signature to make sure they're valid. But the big difference is that the fruit and vegetable check is the only WIC check with a cash or dollar value. WIC customers can use these checks to buy an assortment of fresh, frozen, or canned fruits and vegetables. Your WIC approved food guide has a section devoted to what are and aren't approved fruits and vegetables. You'll want to familiarize yourself with it. Here's a quick rundown of some of the items that are not approved. Herbs, spices, potatoes, except for sweet potatoes or yams, party trays, fruit baskets, items from the salad bar, nuts, and dried fruit. Another big difference with these checks is if the fruits and vegetables chosen cost more than the dollar amount on the check, the WIC customer can pay the difference. But keep in mind, when the customer pays the difference, the price entered on the WIC check must be the same as the value of the check. If the fruits and vegetables chosen cost less than the amount on the check, no change can be given to the WIC customer. Also, keep in mind, Fruit and vegetable checks cannot be combined and must be processed as a separate transaction. Now, in case you make a mistake writing down the wrong amount on a WIC check, don't panic. While the customer is still at your register, verify that you did make a mistake. Then draw a single line through the incorrect total and write the correct total above it. Once you do that, proceed with the transaction as normal. Of course, all transactions are not going to be as easy as others.
Sometimes they'll come with their WIC order mixed in with their regular order, and then they'll hand you their WIC check. And you're like, oh, I have to start over? But a lot of the times, the only issue they have is grabbing the wrong item.
One time that I got the wrong food, and there was a line behind me. So they had to call the manager had to come up, and when I look back, everybody was making faces, and it was really uncomfortable.
You know, sometimes WIC customers are shopping with their kids, and it's easy to get distracted, and you're thinking about other things on your list, so they just grab the wrong thing. It's not intentional. We know that.
If you're in a situation where your customer needs help, just remember to be patient and explain the situation politely. If possible, offer to help the customer get the correct items or offer to put the items aside. Don't get frustrated or let your customer get frustrated. If you need to call a manager for assistance, don't draw extra attention to the WIC customer. Customers with a bad experience may not come back to your store. Also, make sure your store uses WIC-approved shelf labels to help the WIC customer choose the correct items. This will help WIC customers have a positive shopping experience and make checkout easier. You can also call the State WIC Office Vendor Unit at 1-800-552-9425 so you or the customer can speak with WIC staff. There's a couple of things we need to review before we finish. This is the WIC-approved food guide. There should always be a guide at your checkout lane. Use this to make sure the customer has the correct WIC items. It's also helpful to have extra food guides available at the customer service desk. Last thing, have a good attitude. WIC customers are just like you and me. Don't treat them any different. WIC is there to help, and so are you. Be respectful and provide the outstanding customer service your store expects. Remember, it's important to respect every customer and do all you can to make sure the experience they have with you is a good one.
What makes a good experience at the checkout is when the cashier is extremely pleasant. If I need to be corrected, do it in a nice manner. And just all in all, just treat me like I'm buying my food with my own money.
Supermarkets that have the products easily labeled, where the staff is aware of what the program is, what it accomplishes, what is on the food guide, that's the store that I'm going to go back to.
WIC values its partnership with its retail vendors, and we want to work with you to ensure that every WIC transaction is a pleasant one. Thanks for working with WIC, and remember, a happy customer is a repeat customer.